see if we are live. I think we are. Okay, so we're live, and I love that. And so please feel free to share in your comments anything that you want. I'm happy if you're actually there. Love it. Okay, so today what I want to talk about is actually something that's come up quite a bit with my clients recently. And that is the entire process of organizing your documentation. I just want to see. Okay. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So what I want to talk about today is the entire process of organizing your documentation. And what I mean by that is, oh, woohoo, I have people coming on. Hi, Thomas. Okay, so my recent work has been a lot with copywriters and with designers and with my clients. And what I've come to see a lot of times is that the process isn't clear enough. So the copywriter and the client will work on the document, and then they'll send it to me and say, hey, can you already implement this? Or they'll send it to the designer and say, hey, can you implement this? And I'm like, okay. But then all of a sudden, there are a lot of changes that are being made. And the document is actually duplicated rather than some sort of changes tracked. Or I'm lucky if it's duplicated, because sometimes it's on the same document, changes have been made, and I have no idea what the changes are. And I don't know what's going on. So how can we avoid that? How can we avoid having the same document copied and pasted and changed and nobody knows that? So obviously track changes. Well, you would think it's obvious, but it's not. Apparently, there are a lot of people who think that it's okay to work and just duplicate and then send another copy. So they'll send it to the designer and then they'll redo it or change it or add sections or remove sections. And all of a sudden, the designer's like, but what's changed? And now they have to go line by line and change it. So that's not a good idea. So here are a few hacks that you can think of. First of all, make sure you're using the same document. And if you're not using the same document, make sure you have a naming convention so that people know what the most updated document is. And don't use asterisks and 1 asterisk and then 2 asterisks and then 3 asterisks, because that's not really giving you what you want. The best idea for this, in my mind, is to have some sort of naming convention that you can know the date. My personal naming convention is 8 digits, Y, meaning the year in 4 digits, and then 2 digits for the month or the day, and 2 digits for the month or the day. So it depends if you're in the US or in Europe or wherever. So for me, it would be 2021 02 07, because it's the year 2021, the month of February, and the 7th day. And I always do it from the month down to the day, because that actually gives me a better way to sort them by date and always know what is the most updated at the time. And then the next thing that I do is I do an underscore or a dash or a space, whatever is convenient for you, and I write the name of the file or the name of the client or what we're working on, the sales page or whatever it is. Make sure that the naming convention makes sense to everyone on the team. Because if you're not making sense to everyone on the team, then really you're not doing anything. It doesn't have to just make sense for you. Everybody needs to understand what's going on when they look at this documentation, right? Now we get back to the track changes. So if you're doing it on Word, it's really, really easy. But on Google Sheets, or Google Docs, people find it a little more complicated. They shouldn't. It's just suggest in the top right corner. Just hit that suggest button, and it makes a lot of sense. And the beauty of doing it like that is that you can assign on, actually you can assign on both Microsoft Online and on Google Sheets Online. You can assign the change to someone and make sure that they see it. Or you can just mention that and see that they see it. And then you hit the checkbox, and that makes it approved. So we know that we've taken care of that or resolved that issue. And using track changes makes it so much easier to make sure that you know what's going on, who's done what, where we stand at any given point. The last thing I want to talk about, and this is going to be a very short live because, I mean, well, why not, is making sure that the process is smooth. And what do I mean by a smooth process? Well, the smooth process basically ensures that everybody who needs to be there is there. Make sure that the smooth process, make sure that everybody's on the same page. So if I have a sales page, right, and it needs to go to a designer, well, I want to make sure that the designer gets it when it's ready, when there's been buyout from everybody who needs to sign off on this. So if there's a marketing manager or just the one client, whoever it needs to be, everybody in the process needs to sign off on the process saying, yes, this is what I want. This is how it should be. I agree. And now it goes over to the next stage of design or implementation or whatever. Because I can tell you from a personal standpoint, the most annoying thing in the world is when you do the work and then they're like, oh, but you know what? We decided to go a totally different direction. We didn't like what was happening. I don't mind small tweaks, and I don't mind changing within the process as it's happening because we understand that the process isn't right and it's not working as we want it to work. But I do mind having a process that is inherent within the process, that things are constantly changing and constantly tweaking. No track changes, no documentation that's being marked as, last version or when it was last updated. And so it's really problematic because it takes a lot of time, and you're also going to be paying for more of this because if that's your process, then the project is going to last longer. Depending on how you price it, it might last a really long time and cost you a lot of money. So make sure you do it right the first time, and then small tweaks along the way. And once again, who has the last say? Who is the one that is making a decision about whether or not this project has been approved? Is it the client? Is it the designer? Is it someone above? Is it the person you talk to? Is it other stakeholders? These kinds of things should be known before you actually start the project. It'd be better if you know all of these things. But the more organized your documentation process and your workflow process is when you're working with multiple documents with multiple team members, the more organized it is, the easier it will be for you later on to make sure that you've gotten the last version up. Because the last thing you want happening is you want an email going out to your entire list with, hey, wait a minute, that was 2 versions ago. That's not right, right? So we want to make sure that everything is the right version at the right time, signed off by the right people. Now, the last step in this, and it's the last step always, and you've heard me say this a million times before if you've been following my posts, test, and retest. If you're not testing and you're not retesting and you're not sending sample emails to yourself and sending, checking out that sign up page if it's doing what you want and checking the sales page if payment is working, if you're not testing it, then you're not going to ensure that the results that you get are the ones that you want. So, make your life easier by just doing it the right way the first time. So, if anyone has any questions, there are not many people watching this live, but it's there. And I really hope that this is going to give people some added value. So drop me a comment, drop me a like, let me know if you like this and if you want more of these and what topics you'd like to hear about. Thank you so much.